Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Citrine, and today we're continuing with our National Park Map series. I am still a bit under the weather. My throat is kind of sore, but really the problem is just coughing. So if there's any weird cuts, it's because I had to cough. So any weird jumpy editing, it is that. But we're just going to continue on here with another of our eastern parks here, and this is the Everglades National Park. So Everglades National Park is located, you can see on the map here, right down here at the very southern tip of Florida. And it's actually bordered by Big Cypress National Preserve and nearby Biscayne National Park, which we talked about in the last National Park Map video. So, the Everglades includes not just the land, but also the keys and the islands and a lot of the water around the edge as well. And you can also see down here on the map, way off past the keys, we have Dry Tortugas. So, a lot going on here in the south of Florida. So, this is a really interesting park, and I've never been, but every time I learn something about it, my jaw just drops. So, let's see on our why visit Everglades. So of course we have the big animals. You want to visit to see the alligators, crocodiles, and manatees in their natural habitats. There are many nesting and migratory birds. As a matter, I think that the Everglades used to have one of the biggest bird populations, I think, in the United States, but I might be wrong. You can paddle through a maze of mangrove forests, which I love a mangrove. You can rent a houseboat to explore Whitewater Bay. You can paddle the 99-mile Wilderness Waterway. You can explore Shark Valley by foot, bike, or tram with a guide. And of course, to join a boat tour from Flamingo or Gulf Coast Visitor Center. There are tons of activities to do. That was just the beginning. And of course, the longer you have to stay, the more you can accomplish. But let's read the what you need to know about Everglades. If your number one goal, that's the wrong your, should be Y-O-U-R, not apostrophe R-E, that's U-R. If your number one goal is to see alligators, drive Miami Trail, US 41. Take the tram tour at Shark Valley, and you're almost guaranteed to see a few. Otherwise, stop at Oasis Visitor Center and drive Loop Road, where you'll find some. Although this is Big Cypress National Preserve. Down by Cove Visitor Center, your best bet is usually Anhiga Trail. Gators need fresh water. If water is low, they'll be farther north or hiding out in a gator hole. Paddling is different here. Yes, there's unique wildlife, alligators, and invasive Burmese pythons, but they don't pose much of a problem to you. Rapids, you won't face those either. The maximum elevation of the park is 8 feet, and water flows into Florida Bay at roughly 0.25 miles, quarter mile per day. The difficulty is navigation. Some areas are maze-like. Others are huge, open mangrove-lined expanses like Whitewater Bay. Both can be difficult to gain your bearings. Trails have markers. Follow them. There are platforms called chickies for overnight trips. Some were upgraded in 2022. Use them. Yeah, there's a lot of predators in Everglades National Park. They will eat you. Everglades is an important bird habitat and thus a good place for birders. Favorite spots are Anhiga Trail, Christian Point, and Echo Pond. And vultures have set up residence in the Anhiga Trail parking area. They're there to eat rubber seals found in vehicles. Oh no. The best solution for now has been to wrap your car in a tarp. I've heard a lot about wild animals getting into cars at national parks. It's the first time I've heard about vultures doing that, though. Usually it's marmots out west. So anyway, let's take a look at Everglades National Park. So this road from Miami, straight out of Miami, takes you along the northern border and into Big Cypress National Preserve. As you can see where Everglades and Big Cypress border one another here. And you can see just how much the Everglades is made up of these little inlets and little islands and keys and just all kinds of itty bitty little fractures off the mainland. And this one's going to be a pretty intense one to read, so we might skim some of it, especially because I don't have full control over my voice. And here's Biscayne National Park, which, like I said, we went over in the last one. Right over here is the park entrance and welcome station. This is the Ernest F. Coe Visitor Center right here. And that is just outside of Florida City. This is a main road here from Miami that takes you all the way down to Echo Pond, and right up against, looks like Flamingo, which is another, I think, visitor center, right on the very southern tip of Florida. If we instead were to go straight west out of Miami, that road, like I said, will take you through Big Cypress National Preserve, or you can also visit the Shark Valley Visitor Center right off that road. There's your tram. It takes you to an observation tower. Your airboat tour parking is over here. There's some notes here, but I don't think they're super important. It's a little bit outdated. I do need to cough. So yeah, pretty linear roadways. Not so. This one's not so linear, but up here they're pretty linear coming out of Miami. So there's 2 camping spots as well as the tree snail hammock, which looks like a hiking trail and a scenic drive. But we're not going to talk too much about Big Cypress. But you can use this road through Big Cypress to get where you need to go. Everglades City is over here. And you can get there using that 41 229. And that'll also take you to the Gulf Coast Visitor Center. And there are boat tours that leave from there. Everglades City offers some lodging, boat ramps, food, stuff like that. And it also leads down to Chokoloskee, which is another camping, lodging, gas, food, boat ramp area right here, which barely looks like it's even on land. I don't think it is at this point. I think there's probably a bridge that takes you across water to get to there. At the northwestern spot here, there is a couple areas amongst all of these. So maybe you can see it a little better. This is just a teeny tiny little inlets and outlets and all kinds of stuff. Just crazy looking. But this is the 10,000 Islands area. And there's some camping spots there, Tiger Key and Picnic Key, Jewel Key and Rabbit Key. And the further you head east, you can see right here, starting at the boat tour spot at the visitor center, is the Wilderness Waterway, which you can paddle or do a boat tour on. And you just follow all the way. Looks like down and back. I have no idea where it ends. I think maybe right there. I think it ends right there. But there's more dotted lines that I can't quite make out. There's a lot there. There's geese flying overhead where I'm at. You might hear them. But yeah. So heading further down the Wilderness Waterway, more camping spots. Watson Place, Mormon Key, Darwin's Place, New Turkey Key, Plate Creek Bay Chickee, which is one of the platforms, I think they said. Lost Man's 5 Bay, Willy Nilly, Hog Key, Highland Beach, Camp Lonesome, Rogers River Bay Chickee, Broad River, Harney River Chickee, Cane Patch, Graveyard Creek, sounds lovely, and that is on the Ponce de Leon Bay, which is fed by all these little coastal marsh, little drains, as well as the Little Shark River. That also feeds into Oyster Bay, and there is the Oyster Bay Chickee in the middle. Watson River Chickee, this is the Whitewater Bay. North River Chickee, Roberts River Chickee, Lane Bay Chickee, Hills Bay Chickee, Lard Can, great, Pearl Bay Chickee, the South Joe River Chickee, and like I said before, the Joe River Chickee, that one's off of Mud Bay, and South Joe River Chickee is right off of Tarpon Creek. And this is all located on Cape Sable, which does have a mangrove area in it. Big fan of that. On the southern side, you have the Coastal Prairie, which is this orange. I guess that's what that is. Coastal Prairie that goes along the southern line there. I think I just bumped you with the chopstick. I'm so sorry. Off the west point of Cape Sable, we have Northwest Cape, Middle Cape, and East Cape. Northwest Cape and Middle Cape are separated by Middle Cape Canal, and East Cape is located on the East Cape Canal. You can take from Coot Bay, you can take the Mud Lake Canoe Trail, and you can take Homestead Canal from Bear Lake to the Bear Lake Canoe Trail, which will take you out to the East Cape Canal. And further east of that is the Clubhouse Beach. That is located on part of the Coastal Prairie. Apparently this says impassable right here. Interesting. So, from the Clubhouse Beach, the only way to get there, it seems, is through the water or through the Coastal Prairie Trail, which starts at Eco Pond. And that is just off of the Flamingo Visitor Center. And there seems to be a couple little trails through the prairie that take you to the Florida Bay here. So, off of pretty much straight south from the Flamingo Visitor Center is the Johnson Key Chickee. And then to the east of all of that is Coot Bay Pond and the West Lake, looks like restroom, boat ramp, trailhead, because further to the east, past the trolling zone, we have the West Lake Canoe Trail that goes through Long Lake and leads you out to Alligator Creek, which apparently you can camp at if you're feeling brave. And at the far end of that inlet is Shark Point Chickee. The 3 trails that we're looking at over here by Coot Bay Pond include 4, my bad. It is the Christian Point Trail, which they said was good for wildlife. Rowdy Bend Trail. The Masrick Pond. And the Snake Bite Trail. Bite spelled B-I-G-H-T. I don't know why it's spelled like that. So West Lake is a canoe path. Probably a pretty good way to see some wildlife since you're pretty far out there. And before we head back up the road here, let's talk more about what's going on in the water. So straight south of the West Lake Canoe Trail in the Florida Bay is Little Rabbit Key. And on the edge of the park boundary is the Intercoastal Waterway Trail, which takes you all the way up into Biscayne. The park boundary actually just stops going east at, looks like, Highway 1, and instead follows Highway 1 south to where it connects to Key Largo. And then that decides where and what is protected. So just south is Key Largo. The park boundary only protects just north of Key Largo and the Intercoastal Waterway. And actually, right down here, there's a sign that says 70 miles to Key West when you're on Ann's Beach. I have been to Key West. We have driven there all the way from, we lived about an hour north of Kansas City at the time. So, I might have the layout of the entire United States, but I don't remember. But if you're not familiar or you don't know, Kansas City is located right there, where the river comes through. We lived about here, and we drove for an entire day all the way. I think we had to go this way, and then through Louisville, and then through Louisville, which is over here, past Mammoth Cave, because we were on 65, through Nashville, and continued down. I think we started to go this way after we got through Nashville, and we got through Florida, I think through the Panhandle, if I'm not mistaken, and then drove all the way down here. We wiggled our way through between the Everglades and Biscayne, and then we went all the way to Key West, because that is all connected by bridge down there. So you take the toll bridge here to Key Largo, and you just keep going. So yeah, it was a very long drive. I just remember seeing the key deer at night. They're little deer that are native to the islands down here. But anyway, let's continue. So further east, but not all the way to Highway 1, is the North Nest Key, which looks to be on some prairie land there. But yeah, back up on the mainland, let's go back to Flamingo Visitor Center. The way to get to Flamingo Visitor Center by car is to come from Florida City and take what looks like Road 9336. I might be wrong though. Yeah, no, 9336. You will pass through the Ernest F. Coe Visitor Center, and you will follow that road all the way down to the southern tip of Florida. So, heading back up from Flamingo let's see what we can spot. So, flamingos right here. The road ends right there, like at Eco Pond. And it crosses a canal that looks fairly man-made because it's really straight, but sometimes it's natural. So I'm not going to say for sure. So we'll take that road past West Lake Canoe Trail, the West Lake rest area, and cross over Noble Hammock Canoe Trail, 9 Mile Pond Canoe Trail, the Hells Bay Canoe Trail. 9 Mile Pond is a little bit of a picnic area. And then we're going to keep going up past Sweet Bay Pond. And just north of Sweet Bay Pond, off to the west, is Mahogany Hammock, which is a hiking trail. You keep going north, you'll pass Ficus Pond and Sisal Pond. You start getting into this Pineland area. That's what this green is here. To the northwest is Pehokee Overlook, which looks like some hardwood hammock, as well as a freshwater slough and areas like that. And as you follow the road east, you'll pass Rock Reef Pass, the Pine Glades Lake, and the Long Pine Key Trail, which does loop. The Robertson Building is located off of a road down here. As you continue on through past the Pinelands trailheads and Long Pine Key, looks like camping area. There is a road that leads you there, and nearby is the Robertson Building, but I don't think you can access it from there. I think you have to access it from here. As you keep going east, you'll find the park entrance and the park headquarters at Ernest F. Coe Visitor Center. Just south of the Visitor Center is the Royal Palm Aniga Trail and Gumbo Limbo Trail. So those you can take the road down to, but you will have to, of course, walk the trails. So let's talk about some of the coloration, because there's a lot going on here. So this coloration is very interesting. So the tan color that's here is freshwater marl prairie. These dark green spots that are spotted everywhere is hardwood hammock. The orangey color I was talking about earlier is coastal prairie. This kind of darker tan color here and over here on Old Ingram Highway, which looks more like a trail now, is cypress. I love cypress. That's my favorite tree. Forgot to point this out. Up near the Robertson Building, that can be accessed by, looks like, some roads and the Old Ingram Highway, is the Nike Missile Base Historic Area and the Daniel Beard Center. So that's another interesting thing to check out, especially if you want to know about the human history in the area, or at least modern human history. So all this dark color here is also cypress. This bright green is pineland, which has been mixed in with the hardwood hammock. And then, that was a weird noise I just heard. And then we get down to the blue stuff. So this very light blue area is marine and estuarine area. So some of it's going to be marine water, so just salt water, or estuarine, which is where salt and fresh water mix. And then there's a teal color for mangroves, which I think is what all of this color is here. And I do love some mangroves too. Yeah. of course, the water depths are shown in color as well. The lighter it is, the shallower it is. So this white area all in here is 0 to 3 feet or 0 to 1 meter. This lighter blue in here is 3 to 6 feet, 1 to 2 meters. So in theory, when the water is low enough, you could walk from here to here, but it does get a little deeper around here. I wouldn't do that though. It's not going to be nice and solid ground underneath. It's going to be sandy. And this color here, over 6 feet. So, have you been to the Everglades? If so, what did you think? I'm interested to know. It's definitely on my list of places I really want to go, but, you know, just haven't made it that far yet. One day I will. One day I think I would like to take a week or two and just do Biscayne, Everglades, and Big Cypress all at once. So, I don't know. If you've been, what did you do? What do you recommend? I would love to know your thoughts. But alright. I will see you all in the next video. Hopefully I don't have a cough by then. Hopefully this is all gone away with.